In the context of My Hero Academia, vigilantes are very important, especially when justice fails. We rely on the police so much, or just on the government to, keep the crime, steady. But there are some times where there are gaps. There are gaps within the justice system where they're just not the best. And of course, here in the States, here in the United States of America, we do have something called the citizen's arrest. Of course, I never hope for any of us to have to exercise such a thing. And I think each state has their own laws as well. So make sure you do some good research before you do a citizen's arrest. But here in the context of My Hero Academia, when the heroes fail, who do you rely on? Who do you look up to? You look up to the vigilantes, and even here, you can see Ida's brother. His name is Ida Tensai. This is Ida's older brother. From My Hero Academia original series. As you can see here, he's saying, "We've done enough work for one day." As you can see, the vigilantes came in clutch, even after the organization of within My Hero Academia, they couldn't capture this bat looking you know villain. And within all their efforts, they couldn't capture him until he ran into their neighborhood. So this is their neighborhood. This is why vigilantes excel, guys, and the actual hero association doesn't. They fail to meet the requirements. Is because when they protect people, when these vigilantes are protecting people, and when I say vigilantes, I mean Knuckle Buster, I mean Koichi, and of course Popstar. Who can forget Popstar? Where is she? Right here, Popstar. These are the vigilantes, and they take things more personal because this is their neighborhood, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like over here in the States, I don't know what you guys have, but here in the States, we have what we call neighborhood watch. Yeah, this is actually a thing. And that's where we keep watch of our own neighborhood. So this is like neighborhood watch, but a little higher tier. They take things into their own hands and make sure nothing comes about to their neighborhood. And this is what is really common too in a Batman series. You always, in the original Batman series, he really just sticks to Gotham City. He really just sticks to Gotham City. He doesn't really go beyond Gotham City until, of course, the Justice League. He meets all these other superheroes. So once he gets to that position, now he expands further because now he has a bigger team. But when it comes to your own personal neighborhood, you know it like the back of your hand. You know it, so well because it's more personal now. When I see someone drive past the speed limit down my road, like I'm like, damn, let me get his license plate number. But thankfully for me, we have law enforcement, we have cops, we have firefighters here, a minute away, guys. Yeah, that's how secure my neighborhood is. That's how you live in a good neighborhood is when you live next to a police station. The neighborhood just gets a little bit more safe. Because who's dumb enough to commit crime around a police station? You know what I'm saying? Well, at least you would think they wouldn't commit crimes around a police station. If they're dumb enough, they will. But as you can see here, he really got outmanned, outsped, and outmaneuvered by the vigilantes. W episode, it really did showcase their pros, their strengths. Because of course with them, they don't really have the tools. They don't really have the organization. They're doing it. They're doing this on their off shift, guys. They're doing this after they've worked the wagey. After they have to they dinner and shower. They do this on their spare time. Especially for some of them, they're still students, so they're still going to school. They're still doing. They're still juggling. Normal life, while the Hero Association, that's their job. That's their job. So they're always, ready to go. But they really are not always equipped with the necessary knowledge that the vigilantes have, because they're only just patrolling their little community. So that's the power in taking things personal. That's the power of vigilantes. They really just, and to be fair, guys, they couldn't really make it as actual heroes, because Because you can see here, you know, Knuckle Buster, he doesn't have a quirk, so he wouldn't be accepted. And of course, Koichi, the nice guy, he wouldn't really be accepted either because he doesn't have a license and he doesn't deem himself, you know, strong enough or powerful enough. And of course, Popstar is like, you know what? I'm not actually associated with him, which is really funny. You know, Popstar really just doing this just to help out, you know, on a side gig. But I don't think these guys really know how much danger they're really putting themselves in until their lives are on the line. So far they have been lucky that, you know, they really haven't, you know, been in that situation where their life was on the line. But what's crazy is that they have saved a lot of lives now. So, you know, they're getting that high, they're getting that drive of, you know, being able to save the common folk when the heroes, you know, they have the gap. You know, they have gaps, guys. They're not perfect. So this is why, within the context of My Hero Academia and just heroes in general, you know, we got to give props to the Vigilantes. And I just love watching this anime, guys. This is just so much fun. Just seeing the dynamic of this old boomer and then the young kid and then the gal. You know, it's just such a weird, you know, just such a weird group of vigilantes that we have here. And it just makes the whole dynamic just so much fun and so great to see. You can see here, I don't know about you guys, but this is just so cheesy. When they're like, yeah, I'm the crawler and I'm Knuckle Buster, you know, they're just trying to show off. You know, it was just such a great episode, but that's all I really want to talk about is how relevant these guys really are. You know what they say, every stroke of a painting is very important. That's how I see vigilantes. What I'm saying, everybody counts. That is all, guys.